I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card in the back of the room, fill it out legibly, please, and completely, and return it to our board assistant, Kathy Tompkins, sitting to my left, and at the appropriate time, I'll call you up. Now, would you please stand and pledge allegiance under the direction of Booker High School's JROTC, under the direction of Captain Jason Dudley.
Mark time. Arms. Ready. Base. Colors. All. Feet and arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready. Others. Pose.
Thank you. Today, we're happy and delighted to welcome Chelsea Foster, a student from Booker High School, who is our student representative. We welcome you, Chelsea, and I just gave her a certificate of appreciation. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your future plans are?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Foster. I'm a senior at Booker High School.
It is.
I am a leader for our College for Every Student program. I am also a basketball player and a previous dancer, and my plans are to attend the University of Florida and major in applied physiology and kinesiology to become an orthopedic physician. So yes.
Well, such a great decision. A great decision on your part.
Did you hear what she said she was going back to bed?
Did you hear that? The preeminent university, right?
The premier university.
We have a number of special presentations this afternoon, and I'd like to welcome the students from Sarasota County's Boys and Girls Club Star Leadership Training Program who are in the audience. Would you please stand? This is a program which really helps our youth to take leadership roles in the community at a young age, and we know how important that is, so that when you all finish high school and you go off to college or career and college ready and do things, you'll be participating and doing things on those campuses and early in life. So thank you for being here today. After the meeting's over, we'll have some time to answer some questions and take some comments from you. Next, we have special presentations. I'd like to call Dr. Kingsley, Assistant Superintendent, Chief Academic Officer, to the podium to begin today's first presentation to the Community Foundation. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to call Chris Renoff, our Executive Director of All Things Elementary.
Kingsley's presence, that's it. So, first of all, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Good afternoon.
Superintendent Bowden, Mr. Hardy, Ms. Chelsea. It's great to be here, and honestly, I love coming before you. Anytime I get the chance to just shine a spotlight on the great things that are happening in our district, and today is no different. Today, it is an honor to be able to be here today to recognize and celebrate our good friends, but cherished partners from the Community Foundation of Sarasota County for not only the work they do, but the unwavering support that they provide. So I'd like to ask Roxy Jurdy, Mike Kennedy, and Kirsten Russell just to stand and be recognized. We've all heard the quote that Aristotle once said, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." And basically, in other words, when individual parts are connected together to form one entity, they create a synergy that is much stronger and much more important than if all the parts were to operate independent of one another. To me and to many, this is a picture-perfect representation of how the Community Foundation of Sarasota County operates each and every day. Because the members of the Community Foundation and their amazing team, they're always focused on the whole and seeing things from a whole representation. So you're talking about the whole child. You're talking about the whole family. You're talking about the whole community. And the work they do thus fills the holes and creates sustained and lasting impact in any project that they work on or invest in. So hearing all of that, coming up with today's comments, I thought, how do I say thank you to an organization that gives $1 million a year to the Sarasota County School District to support programs initiatives like EdExplore SRQ, mental health therapists in our schools, the campaign for grade level reading and scholarships to students, and many, many other initiatives. And I thought, I don't. We do. And so with me today, we have some familiar friends, some colleagues and students who all wish to join us in sharing our sincere message of thanks and appreciation. So first, to help us illustrate the concept of the whole child is Steve Royce, principal, and Elijah Zucchelli, 5th grade student, whose proud sister is sitting right over there from Gosio Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Renoff. Good afternoon. I am Steve Royce, the principal of Gosio Elementary, and it is my privilege today to represent my Title I colleagues, especially the 4 opportunity schools that have been designated by the Community Foundation: Alta Vista, Tuttle Elementary, Emma Booker, and Gosio Elementary. The Community Foundation of Sarasota County contributes in so many areas to our schools that we literally could spend hours talking about their generosity in our community. Mr. Renoff has requested that I only speak about 2 today. So the 2 that we're going to talk about today is, first of all, summer learning and also college to career readiness. So summer learning academies, what happens with summer learning academies is not only have we seen them reduce our summer learning losses, but it provides with us implementation of high interest, high impact instructional experiences. This year, the Community Foundation at Gosio is providing resources to create experiences for the whole child, as Mr. Renoff was talking about before. This includes, this year, we'll be doing hands-on exploration this summer, working hands-on with robotics. The Community Foundation has brought our vision for college to career readiness to reality by funding trips to campuses of higher education for all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. This year, our students visited Suncoast Technical College, State College of Florida, and the University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee. We had close to 300 students participate in these trips. We are extremely grateful to the Community Foundation. Thank you for listening to our needs, and ultimately for continuing to define what generosity looks like. Here to talk about his college to career experiences is one of our owls, Mr. Elijah Zucchelli.
Good afternoon. My name is Elijah Zucchelli, a 5th grade student at Gosio Elementary. I have attended Gosio for 3 years, and I would like to thank the Community Foundation of Sarasota County for sponsoring our school and for me to be able to participate in college and career fair experiences in 4th and 5th grade. In 4th grade, we went to State College of Florida, Bradenton campus. They gave us a tour of their campus and taught us what it is like to be on a real college campus. During our tour, we stopped and asked different students what they were studying to be, so we could get a general idea of what we wanted to be when we grew up. My favorite part of SCF was the excitement of the SCF students and how they taught us to be responsible. My second experience was this year at University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee campus. We learned how important it is to stay in school and go to college. The reason they taught us this is so we could get a good job and a good salary. My favorite part was when we played the game about how we should give our best effort in everything we do. Colleges are not looking for me to be the smartest, but they are looking for me to do my best and play an active role in the community. To conclude, again, I would like to thank the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, SCF, and USF for my first college campus experiences. I now know the importance of responsibility, effort, and playing the role in the community. Now I'm confident that I can get my doctorate degree in education and pursue my dream to be a principal.
Simply amazing. Thank you, gentlemen. Sparking interest, instilling confidence, rewarding perseverance, and mitigating summer learning loss all at the same time. Now that's what I call a real return on investment. So helping us to truly understand what it means to embrace the entire family, please welcome Mary Tucker, Parent Education Navigator at Alta Vista Elementary, and Felicia Phillips, proud parent and accomplished professional.
Thank you, Mr. Renoff. My name is Mary Tucker, and I am the Parent Education Navigator at Alta Vista Elementary. When we look at the whole family and their aspirations for the future, we want to know how we can elevate the parents' confidence and financial status. We are able to do this by providing 2-gen adult education opportunities where they can then enhance their standing within the workforce and earn higher wages. They can do this by completing their GED, earning their ServSafe certificate, learning English, or completing the CNA program. The Community Foundation continually supports me in every aspect of my job. For example, if a parent who is in our CNA class is struggling because they are not working, but their bills continue, and yet they have goals to complete the class, the Community Foundation will step in to ensure that the parent can reach that goal. They want every parent to be successful. Roxy comes to every single CNA class that we have so that she can meet each parent and share in their accomplishments. A wonderful example of how the Community Foundation supports our families is Felicia Phillips. Felicia completed the LPN program at STC in 2017 and then passed her licensure exam, so the trajectory for her family's future continues to soar. She is now at SCF, continuing her goal of becoming an RN. Despite challenges, with the support of the Community Foundation, she is a shining example of perseverance and what can be accomplished when we wrap our arms around the whole family. Felicia.
First off, I would like to say thank you, Miss Roxy, Miss Kristen, to the whole Community Foundation. I don't know how I would ever been able to do this without you guys. It's been a rough journey, and them embracing me and my family and caring for me and my family, I made it. Last month, I just lost my mother, and they're still continuing to help me be able to take my children to grieving sessions, and just the overall aspect of them being there for me and my family. I'm where I am today. And I just want to say thank you.
Ladies, you truly are an exceptional example of what is possible when potential, perseverance, and partnership come together as one. Roxy, if you could please join us up here today. To say our community.
Anything that just a small token. You deserve so much more.
Roxy, to say that our community has been enriched by the Community Foundation support is a huge, huge understatement. The Community Foundation has and continues to pride itself on making a difference one life at a time. And you've been doing that for 40 years.
Just about. So, we would like to be the first to say happy birthday to the Community Foundation. Their 40th anniversary is in November. And we decided to tell you 40 reasons why we love you. And they are on, we hope you can use this in your festivities coming up. So we appreciate Community Foundation. You do wrap your arms around one at a time. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You're the one.
I am overwhelmed. You can hear my voice here. We are so privileged at the Community Foundation, our board and our team and our donors who care so passionately about this community, but they care about families being successful, our students and our parents. So to have you all speak, and the leadership and everyone that's here really touches my heart. But I really say thank you. We do our work because our donors believe that we're going to be great stewards and create the greatest results from what their charitable intentions are. So we love partnering with you. So please know how much we appreciate all of you. And there's so much more to do, so we're not going anywhere. But I really appreciate you putting some time on your agenda to do this. It really means the world. So thank you so much. And we look forward to, we got a lot to do, but together as partners, we're going to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure they probably want to say a word to you.
Dr. Bowden?
Well, one of my favorite sayings is that public school districts reflect the communities that they serve. And this district has a tradition of excellence because of the way we are embraced by our community, and that has a lot to do with your work at the Community Foundation. I started a tradition as superintendent to award coins of excellence to certain community leaders, and I'd like to continue that tradition today and award a coin of excellence to Roxy Jurdy for her leadership at the Community Foundation. I don't know if you know, but Roxy's annual evaluation includes a component on third grade reading. And so you talk about being all in. When she is evaluated by her board, they look at the percentage of our third graders that are reading on grade level. That's the amount of buy-in. And so Sarasota County is a great place for kids because of the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. And so if you'll meet me down in front, I'd like to present you with one of our coins.
Thank you.
It says Coin of Excellence awarded by the Superintendent of Schools. And I know you live this, but every student, every day. Thank
you.
Mrs. Ziegler.
Wow, I didn't think I'd be the first one to press the button, but I go without saying, I think it was mentioned, the financial generosity is only a small piece, even though it's a generous piece, of what you really do in this community. It transcends generations, and the stories today are amazing. We really are blessed to have you guys in our school district, but in our community, changing lives. We are very, very grateful, and we're glad you're not going anywhere. But truly, you guys have touched millions of lives and will continue to do so, and we are forever grateful. So thank you so very, very, very much.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes, it's unlucky when you're the first one to push it, then everybody has got to follow. We don't want to say the same thing that she said. So this morning we had our workshop, and one of the things that we did in the workshop was our budget. And like all budgets for the governments, we have holes. And Dr. Kingsley likes talking about filling people's buckets, and you help fill our bucket because there's limited resources and unlimited need, and you really do help fill our buckets and all the children in this room and families for generations to come. So thank you very much.
Mrs. Zucker.
I'd just like to thank you, Roxy. You were on board right from the beginning with the 3-gen. I mean, you are there at every graduation, and you really have your whole heart invested in education and in Sarasota County schools, and especially at Alta Vista. Thank you so much, because you have made such a difference, and we couldn't do it without you. Thanks, Roxy.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes, I'd too like to thank Roxy and the Community Foundation. What you do for our schools. Too often, kids get to their senior year of high school and they're thinking, what am I going to be doing? I don't think that's true of the young man that was speaking here. When we can tell them and show them, what they have to do. I mean, it helps them every day when they're in school. And then to make sure that, they come to school ready to learn. That's what our summer learning academies are for. And to make sure that they've got that strong foundation, because if they haven't learned to read by third grade, reading to learn gets very difficult. I'm working with my granddaughter in her third grade math, and it's like, math isn't just columns of numbers that you add up or subtract. I mean, they are word problems now, and they're two-step word problems. And if you don't understand what you're reading, there's no way you're going to pass those tests. So that foundation. But it's not only that foundation, but you're making sure by sending them to these colleges that they will continue to thrive even after they leave our doors. And hopefully they'll come back to our community knowing how much we support and embrace them. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, well, well. I just want to say to Steve Royce at Goshio, wow, what a great job and what great things are going on. Elijah, you're really inspirational, and you did so well speaking in front of a group. I don't know if you've spoken to a group like this before, but I think you're well on your way with the gift of oration to getting into the debate club when you're in high school, or public speaking for sure. So you did a great job, and thank you for being here. Barbara Shirley, who started the Summer Learning Institute several years ago with the Hensons and has done a lot of the hard work along with the Community Foundation. We love you and thank you for all you've done. Mary Tucker, a great leader. Felicia, all the very best to you, and I just love hearing your story and know that you're going to just, rock as a rock star. And know that we care deeply about you as a community. 2Gen is really what it's all about, and we know how that works well. The Community Foundation, of course, is one of my very favorite organizations in this community, and under the leadership of Roxy Jurdy, what can I say? I was in the back room, and before I even knew she was out here, I could hear her laughter, and that laughter is so infectious. And I was studying the new principles of happiness and having gratitude for 3 things before your feet ever hit the floor in the morning. Feel and think about 3 things you're grateful for, and you'll set your day to be a great day. Well, I am grateful for you. So I just want to say to you and to this group, Chris, you got an easy job, haven't you? But what we're doing in our elementary schools, we know if we do a good job that, we'll have it easier in middle and high school with these students. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And next, I guess we're ready to invite... Oh, pictures. Yeah.
I know, not just principals. As a camera Yes, ma'am.
Squeeze in. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
1, 2, right?
I think every member would graduate.
Yes.
Kids so happy.
Yeah. Oh gosh, they're great. All of them are awesome. Are we going out? What do we
Suitcase there, like wallet.
Felicia, we're so proud of you.
And now I'd like to invite Mr. Steve Cantees, Executive Director of Middle and High Schools, to the podium to introduce this next very special presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse the pun, but we definitely have a star-studded audience today. I want to welcome the students from the STAR program. Absolutely an amazing program. I certainly wanted to thank Roxy, Mike, and Kirsten for their support of all of our schools and the Community Foundation. We are so lucky in Sarasota County to have that kind of support from our foundation. So that was pretty amazing. We have some wonderful teachers. I see Courtney Bennett out there does a great job at Sarasota High, Chris Hutchinson, and others that I'm probably going to miss. I apologize if I did. Sandy Critchfield will be speaking a little bit later. So what a great opportunity for us today to do a very special recognition for our school board and Sarasota County Schools and our community too. Today we're going to be talking about accelerated coursework. In Sarasota County we have strong AP programs. We have strong IB programs. We actually have 2 high school IB programs at Venice and Riverview High School. We have dual enrollment. In Sarasota County, we also have very strong ACE programs. Today, we're going to focus on the Cambridge program, the ACE program. So we're here today to celebrate a special recognition for Sarasota County School District's ACE programs. This recognition comes from the University of Cambridge, and University of Cambridge, which is located in England. But before we do that, I want to take a minute to just thank a couple people. First of all, we had a great press conference today to recognize our ACE programs in Sarasota County. I want to recognize David Jones, the principal at Sarasota High School, one of the most successful ACE programs in the state of Florida. He hosted our press conference today, and it was amazing in the new Art Center. So if you haven't seen the Art Center at Sarasota High School, that was incredible. So thank you for your work on that, David. And those people that work behind the scenes to make these kind of events happen, Tracy Beaker and her team. Where's Tracy? There's Tracy. Stand up. Stand up. You guys are incredible. You do so much work to prepare us for these kind of events. So I want to thank you for all that. Could not do it without you. So ACE. AICE, the ACE program. ACE stands for Advanced International Certificate of Education. And like I said, it comes out of the University of Cambridge in England. Cambridge developed the program through a set of college-level courses. Students actually get college credit by taking these courses. And it can result, the end result is that it could be a prestigious ACE diploma for our students who participate in the program. So Sarasota County has programs, ACE programs in high school, middle school, and elementary. It is a elementary through high school initiative in our county. And our district had high school ACE programs at Northport, Sarasota High School, and Booker High Schools. We have middle school programs at Booker Middle School and Heron Creek Middle School, and we have elementary programs at Tuttle and Lamarck Elementary Schools. So that's a wide range of programs. I would like for the principals and the ACE coordinators of the schools, if you would, to please stand now, if you would, and be recognized. The ACE program in Sarasota County brings upwards of $1 million into our district. I bet most people don't realize that. By the students in the program, by going through the testing program, they earn bonuses for teachers, they earn bonuses for schools, and they earn money for the district. That money goes back into paying the teacher bonuses as well as teacher training and other sorts of support for the students who are in the ACE program. So how does a student earn an ACE diploma, and what does that mean for a student and a family? The ACE diploma, to get the ACE diploma, you have to have a minimum of 7 credits in the ACE program. But not only that, you have to pass a rigorous ACE exam that's tied to that course. So a minimum of 7. Many of the students take more than 7. We saw one student that spoke today, Dr. Bowden, said she had taken 11, I believe, 11 courses and passed the exams. I'm sure there are more than that. Maybe Mr. Schenck can share some of that information with us in just a moment. To receive the ACE diploma, you have to have the 7 courses, you have to pass the exams, but you also have to have 100 community service hours. To get that, once you get that diploma and you earn that diploma, it waives all of the ACT and SAT requirements, and students will get the highest Bright Futures Award in Florida, the Academic Scholars Award. What's that mean for the student? What's that mean for the parent? That's 100% tuition at a state college or university in Sarasota, or in the state of Florida. 100% tuition, and it also pays for some of the books, and it's renewable for 4 years. So I think recognition to the school board. You think back several years ago when we started this conversation around ACE. I'm sure many of you remember that. And trying to wrestle with the initial investment of maybe it was $30,000, $40,000. It wasn't cheap, but that commitment has brought just so much money, abundance of scholarship money, as well as a high rigor curriculum to our students in Sarasota County. So that's something the school board should be proud of, and I thank you for supporting us when we brought that forward. So what I'd like to do now is I want to introduce a young man, a gentleman here. He's an assistant principal in Sarasota County at Booker High School.
Where's Mr. Shank? You can come on up. Here he is. So what I call Mr. Shank is the father of ACE programming in Sarasota County. He actually was the first one to bring up, to really work towards bringing a program. Jeff Radick was a principal at Sarasota High School, and now David Jones has fostered that program, and it continues to grow and grow. I want to thank Merlin for being here today. He's going to talk a little bit about that journey that they took to bring the program here.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about ACE. There's nothing more successful in my career as when I worked with the ACE program. I've loved my time at Booker High School, been able to work with them, but those years working up and building the program with lots of great people that I'm going to speak about was amazing. I was kind of hoping Elijah was going to stay. I was going to get some of the pointers from him because he's amazing at this. This is my third time, so, you know, he was great on the first try. So when ACE came around, it wasn't like we just got lucky and, you know, I was trying to look up tennis and aces or poker and aces and just ran into it. Mr. George Schweitzer, who happened to be my guidance counselor when I was at Bay Haven, which was really pretty cool to work with him again, brought up this program called ACE. And I did what any idealistic new young teacher looking to start a family would do. I Googled it and started doing it, even though my wife was like, no, let's not do that. Because as we started looking into it, you could see the merits of the program. It is an extremely flexible curriculum that can be molded to any school, any teacher group. You can do it with anything. The critical thinking and analysis is amazing. What those kids get out of that is, it's nothing compares. Not, you know, I love AP and IB, but I'm an ACE guy. The Bright Futures Scholarship is a big, big deal. So many of these students are coming out of Sarasota, Booker, and Northport, not having to worry about tuition. As long as they keep their grades up, they never have to worry about tuition at any school in Florida. And then also the additional funds that Mr. Cantis was talking about for the schools. I believe it's well over $5 million in these last 8 years that have been generated, and I was going to talk about that later. I jumped the gun. So when we started, you know, I called every coordinator in the state, had no idea what I was doing. I was a math teacher, just doing what I thought. Sherry Reach, who I was kind of hoping she'd be here, but I didn't know. I don't know what her role is anymore. She was the director of Florida, and she got to a point where she's like, Merlin, you're going too fast, probably like I'm speaking now. And she said, I need to come see you. I don't want you to get too far ahead. We got to make sure that you know what you're doing. And so met with her. Everything checked out. We did budgeting and everything. Felt confident. This was by no means a solo mission. Mr. David Jones, Mr. Eric Jackson, who's not here, both helped guide and kind of support us as we grew through the program. They had me sit in meetings with some guy from the landings named Mr. Cantis. I never met him. He's much more intimidating in that setting than here. And it was great to have their support and as we kind of went through the process. Mrs. Lori Sazzo, Mr. Austin Dunk, who kind of sat by me as we went through the program, presented it to Mr. Radick. Really, the most important person was my wife, who, by the time we got to this, was pregnant with our first child. The last baseball game's tonight, not that anybody cares. And the first essay, we're passing around our 6-month-old baby to these random parents because we had to bring him because none of our family lives close, and it was just an amazing thing. So I really, without her, nothing would have happened. Yeah. And she surprised me by showing up. She wasn't supposed to be here. There were a couple parents as well that were very instrumental in helping us. Jennifer Shea and Gloria Coach. I know they didn't even know I was going to give them a shout out, so that's probably why they didn't show up. They were super important to me because I was just starting out. I had no idea how to deal with parents, and those two were fantastic. Once we had enough information, we shared it with the powers that be, and it was rejected, unfortunately. So we shared it again because anything that's worth fighting for, you continue to do. It was rejected again. Recruited Mrs. Beth Hartman, who talked to somebody, got to Lori White, and that was it. You know, once you get the head honcho, now it's Mr. Bowden, right? You get them on board, you can do what you need to do. So once we had that, we had to present at the school board meeting, which was a amazingly tense situation for me. I've learned to figure out if I make jokes, it makes me a little more calm. So we got through that process, and by them granting us, it was about $35,000. It gave us an opportunity to kind of grow the program. So we got the program approved, which was really kind of the easy part. The most important part was selecting those teachers. And, when we were thinking about it, we tried to, what's the best way? How can we figure out who the best teachers are? And the best way was to talk to the students. So I surveyed every kid in my class, which is probably against some union rule, I'm sorry. But it was important to me because they know who's going to challenge them, who's going to get them the college level experience that they need. And so they did it. Dr. Sandy Critchfield, who's going to be speaking after me, one of the most amazing teachers I've ever worked with, one of the top 50 teachers in the world. Yes. Great job, Sandy Critchfield. Has taught every ACE history course, global perspectives course from the beginning. Never batted an eye, never asked a question, because we had to kind of get rid of dual enrollment history, which I think was maybe initially scary. But she's been amazing. Mrs. Lori Sazlo, who, if anybody knows anything about physics, typically there's like a section or two at a comprehensive high school. When we started ACE, 6 sections of pre-ACE and ACE physics. She is an amazing, amazing teacher. Yes. On top of that, she's been the coordinator for the last 5 years, so really the program would not have grown like it has these last 5 years without her leadership. And the late Mrs. Rona Glasser, who had never taught a college-level English course before we brought this on, but the students had said, Mr. Schenk, this is the person. And no one made students grow more than she did. And when we lost her, it was just a terrible loss, but she was such a dear friend to me, and she was an amazing, amazing person, and those kids made so many gains with her. So, sorry. And then, as we were going through, I knew the results were correct because they didn't choose me as the math teacher. I was a math teacher at the time. I knew my role. My role was to work with the kids who really needed somebody to sit there and grind it out with them. They chose Mr. Steve Mills, who was the perfect fit. So I knew the results were accurate. We did that. And it was due to what those teachers did that we're here today. It really is. It's not what I did in the mornings. It wasn't what Mr. David Jones is doing now. It's about what is getting done in the classroom. And without them, we wouldn't have grown. It wouldn't have gone to Booker and Northport. And I'd maybe still be teaching math because I don't think I would have gotten into leadership without that. So it was an amazing journey as it progressed to, I'm trying to cut this to 4 minutes because Mr. Canty said I should take it to 3.
You're fine. You take all the time you need.
I know, that's what you told me earlier today. I only have a couple more things. As we were walking around that first year with Miss Lori White, I was talking to her because as I had done ACE and I'd researched so much, I knew so many counties were expanding it so quickly. And I had said, it would really be great for this to expand. In the back of my mind, I wanted at Booker. I graduated there. I was kind of secretly rooted for them when we played Sarasota. But I did that because I wanted the best for students. This program is the best for students. It's an amazing program. She's like, no, Sarasota High needs to own this for a few years. It's going to be great for you guys. And I think that first year caught everybody by surprise at how successful we were. We had over 200 freshmen that initial class, and of that 200, we had a lot that worked towards that ACE diploma in their 4th year. Even Mr. James Miner, my buddy at IB at Riverview, kind of was caught off guard. I think we started stealing some of their kids, which was the intent. So because of all that, that's why we're here today. We did not move as slowly as she wanted. I did not move as slow as Mr. Cantis wanted initially. He's like, really be thoughtful. Think about this. What's the progression look like? I'm like, it's everything at once. That's what the progression is. And because of that, we grew quickly. There were some mistakes, and that's fine. But as I was talking about the molding it to the school, Sarasota High School has a fantastic math program. Their science program is unparalleled in the district, potentially the state. And because of that, Cambridge students can go through that pipeline, right, of focusing on math and science. For us at Booker, it's all about the visual performing arts. And anybody who's never been to a performing arts presentation, it's amazing. I didn't know because I was always, Sarasota's got some great stuff. Booker, the kids, it's unbelievable how talented they are. Please come out anytime. Dr. Shelley probably tweets about it, Facebooks about it. I don't have social media, so I'm not sure. We are adding it to our VPA art and digital motion. We added those this year. We're adding it to our VPA music next year, as well the drama class. There's a pre-ACE drama class. We're looking forward to expanding it to dance eventually. Dr. Shelley's working with Mr. Gavone about adding a dance program. Through these 8 years, I believe there's over 500 ACE diploma candidates who've received the Maximum Bright Futures, thousands upon thousands of college credits, and well over $5 million in additional funds for schools in the district. And for a program that's in its 8th year, I'd say those are pretty great numbers. And that's pretty much all I have. I'd like to introduce at this time Dr. Sandy Critchfield, one of my favorite people of all time. Thank you.
You. Now I don't feel like I can blame him for dragging me into this. He did. One day he walked by my desk and threw a book on there and said, "Hey, check that out." It was like a fish and a hook. And I was the fish. And he got me from the very first day, and I went, yes, I don't know what this is, but yes, that's what I want to do. So I wanted to address what teaching is in the ACE program. For me, and I hate to say this out loud, in 43 years of teaching, this is the biggest epiphany of my life. We all know that education has more ideas on how to teach than frogs in a pond. And I have seen them all. I am sure there isn't one that hasn't passed by me. But why ACE? Why should we do this? What's the purpose? So, because I'm teaching history, 2 levels and 2 levels of global perspectives, I know that now I'm teaching the students that I see every day how to think. I don't teach them history. I don't teach them what is going on in the world because they know much better than I. I love to lecture. I love my discipline. And I see one of my students smiling at me right now because she knows I can do that. But I have changed. Students want to explore on their own. They want to make choices, and ACE lets them. To discuss the ACE curriculum, I have to demonstrate what my students do. First, they have to validate their sources. They can't pick up anything without investigating who that is. So I'm going to follow my own program. To validate a source, you have to use analysis and evaluation, and I need to do this for you, so you should believe me as a source. I've taught middle school, junior high, high school, private prep school, college, university, graduate school. I know it sounds like I can't keep a job, doesn't it? Sorry. I have a doctorate in college-level curriculum and instruction, and I've taught ACE for 8 years, attended 16 ACE Cambridge-sponsored seminars, but there's a downside. I'm fully committed to this program, absolutely. And my expertise is in history. It's not in global perspectives. I hope you will judge me to be a strong source. Now, ACE thinking would teach the student to select facts, not me, the lecturer, who would love to do it for them, to support their answer to a question. I now would assist them to organize it. I ask them questions. I make them think about the material. My role in the curriculum is a facilitator. I would ask them to tell me what is the opposing point of view. They would have to write to me the opposite side of this paper who would disagree with the question. I hope you don't disagree too much. But they would empathize with people who disagree, and I would guide them to forward thinking and argument. A student then would come to a judgment, and that they can support this judgment is crucial. This is the ACE thinker of the 21st century, and this is a successful thinker. ACE doesn't get you into a good college, it stands with you through college. I will close with one of my favorite quotes, and my students know I have lots of quotes. This is a French author in the 20th century, and this to me tells me what ACE is. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood. Don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. 40 years of experience and that kind of passion, that's pretty impressive. So we have why we're here. We had a couple students. I see one of them over here that spoke today at the press conference. And, you know, the whole reason we do what we do is it's about our students. And we're fortunate to have the opportunity to work with our students. We have a Northport High School student, Edward. Edward Bear is here. He's going to speak about his experience in the ACE program at Northport High School. Edward?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Edward, and I'm a Northport High School student. I would like to thank my chemistry teacher for getting me here. I really like the ACE program, honestly. It provides us with a different perspective on the entire world. With the variety of classes that they offer, not just the classes that I take, but for example, ACE Psychology or ACE English Language, they have really given me a new perspective on life. I would say that the ACE program provides an excellent foundation for what we want to continue on in college or education. And it has really taught us to yearn for the sea in a way. Although I like all my ACE classes the same, I have a special place in my heart for ACE chemistry, and that is what I developed my passion from, taking that ACE chemistry class, doing experiments with my teacher, and then staying after school and cleaning up with labs. We often conversed with my friends, and we over different chemistry problems. And I think the ACE program has really inspired that in me. And I think it inspires that in every ACE student. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to recognize now, or I'm going to ask to come to the podium a couple gentlemen who are here to represent the Cambridge International North America, as well as Cambridge International itself. Mark Cavone is the Regional Director of Cambridge International North America, and Don Myers is the Senior Manager of Cambridge International. They're going to award Sarasota County with a special recognition.
Thank you. Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Amazing. Wanted to cry thinking how much Sarasota County really gets it and gets really good education and have embraced this second to none, really. Amazing. I want to, good afternoon, everyone. Superintendent Bowden, School Board Chair Goodwin, Dr. Laura Kingsley, Steve Cantis, Catherine Kokoza, good afternoon, school leaders. Dr. Rachel Shelley, I got your course. I'm going to work out, well, I didn't get it approved yet, but I've floated it up the flagpole, so one step at a time. Merlin Shank, thank you for the courage and the grit and passion. This district owes you a lot. Chris Hutchison, David Jones, Ryan Chase, Brandon Johnson, Shannon Fusco, and all who are here, part of the Cambridge community. It's an honor to be here with you. This has been amazing work looking through. It's wonderful to put the faces with the data. I just looked through all the data, and I'm like, wow. Now I see all the faces and the hard workers and the students and the passion you have here. We're really happy to see so many of our district partners here. Our schools, Northport High School, Sarasota High School, Booker High School. Cambridge, what we want to present today, this is not about achieving across the state of Florida or in the United States. This is about achieving across the globe. You're competing in the global space with Cambridge. These courses, these exams, this education. Cambridge has been around for the university 800 years. I call us the oldest startup in the world because no one knows who we are except people in Florida. But 160 years we've been around with the Cambridge International program. And this has been, you guys are competing with that, over 10,000 schools worldwide. We're in 40 governments. Singapore is one of those countries that always sort of ranks way high up in the global rankings. You guys are competing with that. You guys have embraced a really hard program for, I think, Americans to embrace and excel at. And you guys have knocked the ball out of the park for your son whose last game is today. Yeah. So Cambridge, we do a lot of research around education programs across the world, and when you combine standards with pedagogy, classroom, and assessments that are there not to measure growth, but to measure learning and roll that learning back into the classroom, that's what maximizes learner achievement, and you guys have done that here. We always say the most important stakeholder for Cambridge is the student number one and the teacher number two. And everything else is a far third. Because to bring this to life, what you've done, your teachers, you have a success story about how you built this and grown this so quickly. Because what you've done with your teachers and your classrooms must be so engaging. There must be really amazing learning happening. Your teachers are engaging with your students. Sometimes I go to districts and they say, or schools, where's my prepackaged curriculum? I'm like, we're the wrong guys for you if you want a prepackaged curriculum. This is about what we offer is getting teachers to bring it to life, to meet every single student where they are. Every single student is special, every single class is different, and every single student deserves someone to engage with them the way they want to engage, and you guys are absolutely doing that. A couple of years ago, we started this district award, and we award it to a large, medium, and small districts. And this year we want to award you with the medium-sized district. And really, it's about three things to us. It's opening up access, giving students with opportunities, which you guys have done. But it's not just the opportunities, but actually achievement is super important. And you guys have not only grown it, but you've achieved beyond the percentage you've grown it. So that's a testament to you and your teachers and the performance, and really about equity for all kids. As many kids that are motivated and prepared to do it, and you guys have a wonderful program that, if a student wants to take a Cambridge ACE course, then they can do that. They can sort of select the course they wanted, which is great. There's no gatekeeping. Many schools and districts do a little gatekeeping, and Cambridge believes in achievement for all. We're in 160 countries, and we see that across the globe, and we know U.S. high schools can do that more so, but you guys are really, you're demonstrating it day in, day out. So you guys have expanded Cambridge International Access and increased the number of exams you've given over 67% over the last 2 years. That's amazing. But what's even more impressive is Sarasota County's pass rate is 79% in 2017-18. Where you started in 2014, your pass rate was, in the mid-60s. And then we've seen your volume of exams given 70% almost grow, but your pass rate is now almost 80%. 80% of your students are leaving the ACE program college and career ready. Every one of those kids gets college credit. They stay in state, they get college credit, they get advanced placement. They're saving. I know, I have a senior in high school, and he just committed to a school, and I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? So I love coming down here because I could just dream if we lived in Florida. It's amazing how special it is for a parent to live in an environment like this, but a school and a district to take advantage of those opportunities for those families. So this truly is, I always say it takes a village between the families, the students, the teachers, the administration, to the district office. You guys are working together, doing an amazing job. Also, you also have some amazing students that are excelling, like on the world stage. One of the students here is top of country in chemistry. Chemistry is one of the hardest exams that we offer, and he is top of the country. You have 111 students that have achieved major league, 111 students that are scholars, and their peers are in Singapore, in China, in India, and all across the United States. So, so that's amazing work. I think you've really embraced the Cambridge program. I'm honored. We're all honored to work with you, and we cherish events like this because it's all about the students and the teachers and leaders getting the best out of kids, and you guys have done that. And congratulate yourselves on an amazing year, and we're just honored to share this small award with you. You are Cambridge's middle-sized district of the year, so Superintendent, you've done amazing things here, and school board, you guys got something going here. So great job and wonderful. I don't want to drop this before I hand it to you. It's yours.
That's ours. You drop it, you bought it.
Well, thank you. Congratulations to you. I know it takes a village and everyone here, and couldn't be prouder to be a partner with Sarasota County Public Schools, and hopefully it's just the beginning. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a photo.
Want to come down front for a photo?
We have the principals, the student, the coordinators, and the APCs that are here. All the principals, middle school. All of it.
Everybody squish together. All right, a couple of y'all go that side. All right, ready? Look at Tori. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. I'm gonna do one more here. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
That's the biggest issue. Once we can.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful.
So just as a wrap up, we have a reception next door. We have a nice reception. Going to have some food and some refreshments. We're going to be recognizing students after the board meeting at 5:30. So we would like for the board members, if you can, to please join us. Student rep, you're welcome to join us too. And any of the press that's here, you're welcome to join us also. So thank you very much.
Bridget?
Don't leave yet.
Don't leave yet. You got to get the board's comments. No. I know I just said this, but Mr. Shank, you should speak at our meetings regularly because you did awesome. And your story was so amazing and your passion for it. And I want to a round of applause. Thank you for bringing this to our community and our school district. And I know that it took a lot of people to get it off the ground, but it was your vision, and I really appreciate your tenacity to see this because hundreds of thousands of students in the future are going to be thanking you. So thank you very much, and thank you for everyone who made this a reality in Sarasota County. Well done.
Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, first off, I just want to say I don't find Mr. Cantees intimidating. Yeah. But, Mr. Cantees, if you take your first foray into intimidating somebody, don't do it with some guy whose name's Shank. That's all I'm saying. But I just want to thank Cambridge for giving our students this opportunity. College is such an expensive thing, and I know Dr. Shelley is really focused on career and college ready. So giving, principals like Dr. Shelley this tool to not only make sure her students are career and college ready, but that they can, college is affordable and within the reach of those people so that they can, build upon some of the stuff that the Community Foundation did as elementary schools. I saw Dr. Frost and then Dr. Shelley, and then building off going to college and then coming back to our local community and paying it forward. So thank you very much for being part of that chain from elementary all the way to where they're productive members of society and bringing it full circle. So thank you very much.
Mrs. Zucker.
I understand this program. This is when I was first on the board. That's when this program came into existence. And I'm so grateful that we did and we were able to pass it. But I've also have 2 grandchildren that were in this program. One of them graduated from Booker High School, and he was in the ACE program, and now I have another one at Booker High School in the ACE program. And I watched him do homework the other night in the car driving home. He had to take a synopsis of the story that he had read, and transcribe it into a diagram. So he had stick figures that he was using, plus he had a house he had to make the house collapse. So he had to make that house collapse, but it was talking about the ozone air. So he also had something up in the sky, which was showing what was happening to the ozone as a result of what was taking place in the house. I mean, how in the world would you be able to do that? Take a little saying and put it into a picture. I mean, it was just beyond me. So I thank you very much, because you've made my 2 children, my grandchildren, think way beyond the box, and they're out of the box as it is. So you just encourage them more to be out of the box. So thank you so much, and thank you to staff, because it has been a wonderful experience for both those boys. So therefore, I know that that's how it is for all of our students in Sarasota County. Thank you again.
Well, I would just like to say to our friends from Cambridge ACE, isn't there some meeting that I could attend over in England this summer or something? Don't they need some person that doesn't know a whole lot about this, but, would be excited about it? Well, I just want to thank Mark, you and Don for being here today. I want to thank ACE for recognizing us, because we think we're special, but, we always like to have other people think that we're special. Merlin Shank, you did a fabulous job in your speaking and your sense of humor and your timing. It was all really great. And we thank you for your tenacity, because I think that really was what you were excelling in, was you kept presenting it and kept it going around, and we recognize the importance of that. I want to thank our school leaders, David Jones, who was, I think, an assistant principal at the time that all this started, and now we've full circled. You're principal at Sarasota High. I want to thank Dr. Shelley. I want to thank Brandon Johnson. I want to thank our middle school school leaders, assistant principals, and other administrative staff, both inside the landings and at the school base. And I particularly want to thank the teachers, because the teachers are doing an awesome job, and the students. When Edward said a new perspective on life, hey, that's pretty big stuff, isn't it? Maybe we should use that in the next ACE brochure or something. But all of the things about the equity and how we have proven our achievement, this is so important, and everything I know about ACE is really so enlightening and so critical thinking for students that I know they're going to do well in college and at the next level, whatever that should be. So on behalf of the school board and our school district, thank you to Cambridge ACE, and thank you for being here today. And that ends our special, I'm sorry, and Mrs. Brown, I didn't see.
Well, I also wanted to thank all of you for coming, and, I think Jane mentioned that. I know one of the things that our students would like to know, if I graduate, will this help me get into my college of my choice? It not only helps them get into their college of choice in the U.S., but any college internationally. This degree, when they get this, will help them. And I noticed that Edward Xavier Bear from Northwood High School won for the top in the country for the AS level. This is great. Our students are outstanding, and I thank you for pointing that out to us and for being here and helping us help our students succeed.
Thank you.
Okay, now everyone can say goodbye. Next up, we have our superintendent's report. Dr. Bowden.
There is absolutely nothing that I could say that would top these two special presentations, and so I will let them speak on behalf of the district this evening.
Great point. And next we have our hearing of citizens. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer flashes yellow, that means that 1 minute is remaining, so please make sure to summarize at that point so that you may stop at the buzzer. The first and only card that I have is Dante Garcia. Dante.
There we are. Okay. Hello, I'm Dante Garcia. I actually previously spoke to a few of you this morning earlier at Sarasota High in regards to ACE. And while that is something I am very passionate about, I am also going to be speaking about something tonight that I'm also very passionate about as well, which is the environment. And so today I'll be discussing the recycling policy in regards to Sarasota County and the possible current status of it. And so I'm a member of the Sarasota High School Environmental Club. And recently, myself and many of the other members, we started to notice that there have been recycling facilities that have not been properly utilized. And by that, I mean the recycling bins will be mixed in with the trash bins, where both of the wastes will essentially be put in the same receptacles. Obviously, that defeats the whole purpose of the recycling bins, as we want to allow for separation between those two so they can be properly disposed of. And we started to notice this after a few of us who are in Viro. We have different clubs. We have like NHS, student government, and we'll stay after class, or even talk to our teachers discussing various matters. And obviously, the janitors, they will clean the rooms after school hours. And so the janitors will enter the room and we'll witness them take the recycling bins and the trash bins and place both of the wastes in the same receptacles. And that kind of just, it raises a question as to, I guess, the importance that we put on the recycling protocols in Sarasota High and any other school that possibly has the same issue. And so as a Sarasota High student representative for the Environmental Club, and to add on to this, the student government is also concerned with this issue as well at Sarasota High School. We would like to just simply know the current status of the recycling program policy for Sarasota County schools. And a follow-up would be if the recycling program has been discontinued, when it was discontinued and why it was discontinued. And if it were not discontinued, we would like to know if there is any possible access to the policy guidelines, if it is accessible, where we could access these policy guidelines, and is it required for every Sarasota County school to comply to these guidelines? Thank you.
Dr. Bowden, would you like to make a few comments?
So if possible, if you were to extend an invitation, I would love to come and talk to your club at Sarasota High School because I want to tap into your perspective. We have a problem. And what the problem is the market for recycled material. And so what you witnessed is typically we have a process at which we go around and we collect up garbage, we collect up recyclables, it gets sorted out, and then ultimately we have vendors who come and pick that material up separately. One is sold off. The other really is a cost to us to take it to the landfill. There is not currently a large enough market for the recycled material, which is causing us to have that material end up in the landfill. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to lead. I think there's an opportunity for us to get creative. And so if at your invitation, I would love to come. I'll bring some staff with me, our director of facilities, our assistant superintendent for operations. I would love to tap in, maybe make a great project for an ACE class for you to research what other districts are doing, what other entities are doing, because we're large, we generate a lot of garbage, and I too would like to keep that material out of the landfill, but I need some help if I could tap into that super smart group of yours.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and that ends our hearing of citizens. Next up, Dr. Bowden, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
We do not. Which I'm surprised by because we always do.
That's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Normally there's a correction, but no, there is not.
Not today.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? If none, please vote.
Where's mine?
You do 4 and then cancel.
Huh?
I don't have it coming up.
No.
It's not coming up. Kathy?
We can do a voice vote.
It's not coming up.
That's why this isn't your last meeting, Ray.
I thought things were going smoothly, too smoothly today.
At least one person has voted, apparently.
Yeah.
They only want your vote.
Eric Robinson. I have the power.
We don't even need to be here, do we?
How about all in favor?
No, that should have come straight through. Because it took her back to, let's see, work session.
I watch the county all the time now. They just do voice
There you go.
votes.
Okay. Did yours come up now?
But that's too efficient.
Did yours already come up, Bridget?
No, ma'am.
Sometimes the old way is the good way.
Sometimes they raise your hand way or they say I way, right? So how are we doing?
What was that
Okay,
up for too long?
Bridget's not up as well.
So what you're going to do, Bridget, is refresh this. So it'll take you back to the work session.
Thank you.
Okay,
The meeting. There you go.
Got it.
Hit 4, then hit cancel.
and the vote passes unanimously. Very good. And that takes us through the consent agenda. Now we move on to new business. May I have a motion?
Oh, that'd be interesting. I move that we approve the changes to policy 7.01 regarding the methodology to calculate the fund balance.
Second.
Discussion?
And just to be clear, you're approving this for advertising purposes, a change to your policy 7.101.
Correct.
Oh, that's okay when you do it.
Eric Robinson?
Yes, I'll be voting against this. I just think that this is fiscally irresponsible of us to do this at this time. I think I've said this before. I liken this to a warning light. This 7.5% reserve that we have is an indicator of us to let us know how we're doing and how we're doing on the fund reserves. Do we have enough or not? And so I likened it to you're driving along in your car and you have your fuel gauge light comes on when you're low on gas. What?
Mrs. Brown?
No, I was speaking.
I'm sorry. I thought you were.
And
I
then,
did not interrupt you. I said
heard-
something to Jane.
what did you say to Jane?
I asked her to ask Todd to explain it.
Oh, okay. Is that what you want?
Go right ahead. Continue.
Okay, thank you. Kind of lost my plate. Oh, that's fine. And it's an indicator light.
We were driving the car.
Yeah, I was driving the car. You're driving the car, and the 7.5% is like the indicator light telling you how much gas you have left in your tank. And so what we're doing is instead of stopping to get gas or changing how we do things, we're just going to change the indicator light so that it goes off when we have even less gas in that car. I don't think that really solves the problem. I don't think that really gives a good indicator to us and how we're doing. If we would just reviewed this policy last summer and we decided that it was fine and to keep it. It was only after we saw that the indicator light came on that we were deficit spending. We deficit spent last year. We're going to deficit spend again this year, and that instead of trying to fix the problem of the deficit spending, because that's the issue. The issue is the deficit spending. The issue isn't the fact that we're going below the 7.5%. That's just an indicator of where we're at. And I just want to point out, last year at this time when we were going over the budget, I specifically said this is what was going to happen. I told people this is what we were going to happen if we continue down this road and we don't start, cutting back last year, the problem just snowballs. And so I'm going to make another prediction. My prediction is that next year, if our revenue is status quo like we've had in the past, guess what? We're going to be even a more dire and even worse position than we are today. And it's going to cause even the solution to fix the problem gets harder and harder as the time goes on. And so I would rather see us fix the problem now when it's more manageable. I think it was more manageable last year, but I think if we continue down this path, I think it's going to become unmanageable, and the cuts are going to become harder and probably affect the classrooms and the students even more the more that we kick the can down the road, so to speak. And so I think that this is a dangerous precedent, and I think that we should focus on what the problem is rather than masking it by changing the percentage numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Brown.
Were we going to have Dr. Bowden explain, or do you want me to
Well,
speak?
I was going to have him explain it last, but Dr. Bowden, would you like to go next?
Sure. Well, I just want to make sure we all understand it's not my job to debate school board members, but to make sure we have an accurate picture of the item that is before you. What we have before you is a change in the way that we calculate the fund reserve. In reviewing the policy in this budget cycle, what we discovered was that the way we calculate the fund reserve is different than other districts in the state of Florida. As a matter of fact, the state has very clear guidelines on the calculation of the fund reserve. And so what this does is to make our calculation of the fund reserve identical to the financial condition ratio used by the state of Florida, and it is that ratio that is published and disseminated. Under our current policy, we would say that we had a certain percentage of fund reserve, and any attempt to compare it to other school districts would be a false comparison because the underlying calculation. What it does not do is change the fact that, yes, we are drawing money from our reserve account to fund operations, and it doesn't change that number in any way, but it gets our calculation of the fund reserve to conform to the financial condition ratio found in Florida statute and used by other school districts across the state of Florida.
Mrs. Brown.
This is a motion to advertise. We're not actually taking the position. We're just advertising the change right now. And the reason I'm supporting advertising it is as Dr. Bowden said, we have been calculating it different than what the state was doing. And I think some of that has to do with the expense we have for that. It's a pass-through expense for charter schools. I don't think we should be holding a reserve based upon our spending for charter schools, since that's a pass-through. We are not changing that. We want the 7.5%. The state requires us to have 3%. Our policy says we want to be between 7.5% and 10%. And I know that, year after year, if we go over that, we've been asked by the teachers union oftentimes to, use those reserve dollars. We shouldn't be going over that, but that we should be using those dollars to help pay our teachers and our staff. And we will be getting a budget. It'll be being developed shortly, and I would like to have the budget developed with this new calculation in there. Again, when we look at the budget, we can change the budget so that we don't deficit spend. There's some spending, if it's brought forward, we can amend the budget to reduce that spending. But at this time, I would like to have our budget, because I think in other areas, Dr. Bowden has pointed out where we aren't following the law. The legislature is getting very testy about districts not following the letter of the law. In fact, on the safety dollars that were given last year, they've even convened a grand jury to be sure that districts are following the law. And they are actually looking at penalizing not so much even the district, but the salaries of the superintendent and the board members for not following the law. So I think, when it hurts us, we're going to follow the law. But I think when it's going to help us, we should follow the law too. And we can vote also on the budget on whether or not we want to deficit spend on the budget when the budget comes before us. But at this time, I think it's prudent for us to follow the way that the state says we should do it. And I think we should advertise this and then in next month come back and vote for it. But this one today is just to advertise the change in the policy.
Mrs. Ziegler.
Thank you. A couple things I want to note. Well, I'll first start with saying that I will not be supporting this, and there are a couple reasons why, and I think it's really important to line them out. As I said in the previous workshop when this was initially brought up, I'm not necessarily opposed to the district changing this policy per se. I think there was a statement said, we discovered that the way we were calculating this was different than the state, which is noted as the financial condition ratio. Sarasota County has had the 7.5 threshold for the unreserved fund balance since 2001, I believe. We're not out of compliance by calculating it differently. It is something the board chose to elevate the standard for Sarasota County to remain financially solvent and make sound financial decisions. In order to be out of compliance, we would have to be below the 3% with the financial conditions ratio. So we are not out of compliance. The benchmark and statute is a baseline, and Sarasota County previous boards had made decisions to be over and above and raise that standard. So again, I go back to the timing is what really gives me heartburn. I, again, would not necessarily have been opposed, or maybe even in the future under different circumstances, of us changing the calculation. As Mr. Robinson noted and was discussed at a former workshop, we just went through every single Sarasota County schools policies this past year. So we did review this policy, and it was never raised as to consider changing the policy calculation at that time. So my question is when we discovered that we were calculating it differently, when was that discovery, and did it have a relation to the fact that if we continue down the path of the current calculation, as was discussed during our budget workshop today, if we have status quo level funding, do not change our calculation, we would be at 5.46%. Therefore, we would be out of compliance for our own internal school board policy to be above 7.5. That to me is what's dictating this change, not that we want to be in line with state statute. It's that we have we're at the 5-yard line, and we can't come up with the fact that we're going to be about 2% in differential to our current policy. So instead of changing the behavior of the spending practices, we're changing the calculation. And I think you have to separate the two. I think, again, I'm not opposed to Sarasota County Schools changing the way we calculate it, but the reason for which we're making the change is my issue. And as I said this earlier, is facts don't cease to exist just because you ignore them. And it scares me, and I give kudos to my fellow board member, Mr. Robinson, for highlighting this previously last year. We all know safety and security in every 67 counties had to spend above what the state gave us, and that was a priority for us, and it still will continue to be. But as those discussions took place, I know I said it, I know Mr. Robinson mentioned it, we needed to be cognizant of what other areas we needed to be sharpening our pencils and cutting down because we saw that we were deficit spending. Now that we aren't really sharpening and these are painful discussions that I don't want to make, but it's the reality of it. But we're only kicking the can down the road only to make the implications of those cuts much more substantial unless we get a lottery ticket from the state, which I have not seen. And they do provide us additional funding, but I don't think it's going to carry us out of this hole. And so that puts us as a board in a very, very unfortunate and uncomfortable and challenging circumstance that we face, where we're not only trying to cut little by little, but we will potentially be faced with major substantial cuts, and that is absolutely going to cause a disruption to our level of service, to our schools, to our students, to our families. And I think we need to own up and face reality. But here we are. So like I said, I think the numbers, you need to understand the timing and why we're making this change. And if we didn't make this change, and based on level funding, we would be at 5.46% going into the next year, which I believe is dictating this change. So I will not be supporting this. I really hope, I don't look forward to them, but I know we have to have them to the tough conversations about how we are going to sharpen our pencils as a school district.
Well, I appreciate the discussion, and I will just say that I will be voting for this, and here's why. I reviewed a lot of other districts around the state, and I thought, gee, they have much better fund balances than we do. And that's when I started investigating it, because I knew that many of them did not have healthier fund balances a few months ago. Some of them had only recently changed those policies. So I think the larger, the more charter schools that we have, the more pass-through dollars that we have in this district, and now we're looking at $100 million and going out to vouchers from FEFP. I mean, give me a break, please. The card deck is kind of loaded against us, but yes, I think this is just to advertise. I'm going to be voting for it. I think we'll also know how our old way of computing and our new way, how the two look. But I will say this. I think we're going to have a very sharp pencil this year anyway. I'm afraid with what's happening in the legislature, we've had our operating budget and our property taxes cut with rollback of the required local effort, $94 million without compounding in 3 years. We've had a lot of issues and a lot of sharing that we've done with charter schools that others have not done. And we've tried to be very vigilant and very good at keeping a resourceful and a healthy fund balance. I think we will do that. I think we will still do that. But this is going to be a tough year. And we can all hope. You can write your legislators in Tallahassee. Next week will be a very important and significant week, and we want them to please not forget that they support public schools. And I sometimes wonder about that with what's happening, but we really have to be careful with every dollar, and I agree with Mr. Robinson and Mrs. Ziegler about that. But this is a vote that I will approve, and I think it's the right thing to do. And it does take out those pass-through dollars that really do not reflect what's going on in our district. So if there is no other discussion, please vote. and the vote passes 3-2. And that brings us to the end of new business. Are there any announcements, Mrs. Brown?
Yes, I'd like to let everyone know that the Sailor Circus will be performing their spring show this week and next weekend, Thursday, April 18th to April 20th, Thursday through Saturday, and next week, April 25th to the 27th, Thursday through Saturday. In their newly renovated and now air-conditioned Sarasota. We've got new bathrooms, too, and new seats and everything. I know you'll want to come out and see our students perform, but also come on out and see the new facility after their $4.5 million renovation. You'll love it that you don't have to sit there and sweat, and more importantly, those kids don't have to sweat when they're up there on the high wire. So if you need tickets, go to circusarts.org or go to the ticket box office on Bay Vista.
Well, I just want to say that we wish Mr. and Mrs. Brown a wonderful trip to China, a safe trip to China. She's leaving when, Thursday?
Don't take a slow boat there.
And I want us to wish everyone a happy Passover and a happy Easter, and say that our next regular board meeting will be Tuesday, May 7th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. We're adjourned.
Chairs around.